Before I go into this video, I want to put a little disclaimer. However you identify and however you choose to express however you identify is beautiful and valid, and it's awesome. We need that in the world. There are some things in this video that I say that could be misconstrued if I didn't say this. I'm not critiquing how people express. I'm not critiquing even the most common ways people express. I just feel like that there's a pressure put on people to express by Western culture, and that's mainly what I'm criticizing in this video. But if you choose to express outwardly, or completely not at all, those are both very valid options, and you should be proud of who you are. Alright, with that said, let's get into the video. Affirmation. Artists should be beholden to their audience because art is created for the audience. By its nature, art is intended to be displayed and appreciated, and therefore, the audience is integral to the artwork itself. This is the claim presented in the Hoya's article, Eye of the Beholder, Art and Its Audience, and the claim most people understand is true. The Webster Dictionary adapts to changing times. Words or definitions get added as new dialects develop. But even it fails to properly background the culture of art. Simon Vogt describes it more abstractly in his book's take on metaphilosophy, entitled Metaphilosophy. Most modern definitions of art fail to successfully address the issue of the ever-changing nature of art, and rarely even attempt to provide an account that would be valid in more than just the modern Western context. End quote. Despite what corporations and colleges may want you to believe for the sake of their own capitalization and dehumanization, art is anything that is a self-expression. Gaming is art. Paintings are art. Whale noises could be whale art. I don't know. I haven't asked them if they meant to sound so pretty. I would argue that since art comes in so many different forms throughout time, and is present in so many vast cultures, with so many different expressions, a single definition is somewhat detrimental to art as a whole. But I'm sure you already knew that. What really interests me is that in our definition, we have to have an audience to have art. And it's purely capital and absent until the industrial age. I wonder when we decided that art wasn't art simply because it was created as an expression of the self, but instead because it was passed around. My relationship with what is called the fine arts, because they're better than the other ones, I guess, is what I think most people go through. I fall in love with new ways to create all the time, but I find myself hesitant to chase those dreams in the form of careers. Not because of my own lack of prowess or confidence, I'm pretty good, but because I'm dissatisfied with the industry I would nearly have to participate in. I don't want to be famous or really have an audience at all. To chase my dreams, I'd have to isolate myself entirely on an island and simply create while farming. I don't do this for the pleasure of others. I don't want your approval. I just like drawing dinosaurs, or doing funny voices in D&D. It makes me happy, and I can express myself however I want with my art form. And I think that this line of thinking works best for me when I ultimately still sing or dance or whatever else. It's for me. I know I enjoy it, so if I publish it, that's secondary to my goal. I would create without an audience, and I do, in fact, a lot. I publish things for help with ideas I don't quite understand and want to fully grasp, or for my social well-being, just to show my friends something I think is cool and that I made. And I'm lucky enough to have friends that may care about the art, but ultimately just like it because I like it or I made it. My gender and my journey with art have been similar. Though before we go on, it's important to note that art is not gender. Duh, or at least doesn't have to be. The main difference is that art is something you usually choose to make, but who you are is not a choice. I just want to talk about both because I discovered these ideas were allegorically similar, and it's more cohesive if I tell you about my journey with each of them, I think. I am in no way comparing or contrasting the two, though. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Nate right now. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm non-binary. I'm white, and used to have braces, so I'm very privileged, and don't experience the hardships others in my communities face. So in turn, I have a different view on the idea of gender and identity. But one idea I have seen going around the LGBTQIA community is that gender is a performance, and I would like to say that I disagree with this. And of course I would, because I don't feel a need to pass as a different idea of an identity. And gender to me is simply being who you are. I've never had it challenged. It's not exhibiting who you are to others. I am femme because I feel feminine, and I may express a stereotypically masculine or feminine presentation, but again, with my place in the world, I don't feel a need to have others validate my identity or my femininity. However, I understand that very many people do for very valid reasons regarding discrimination and self-expression.
I'll never pass. Not that I would want to anyway.
So keep in mind that when I present these ideas in this video, I understand how easy I have it. And I would love to hear more perspectives in the comments about these ideas. Have you ever felt like you've needed to perform your gender? What have you gone through, and what is your relationship with performance and gender? I don't think gender needs an audience, despite Western culture. In my experience, when people want to understand my identity, I tell them that we either aren't on that level because I don't need to be intimate with everyone, and I'm pretty agender, or I just tell them my pronouns if that person and I are friends. You aren't lying if you don't want to express that part of yourself publicly, or even intimately. Nobody paid for my gender show. I'm not even putting one on, I just am who I am. My relationship to audience and gender is like if a movie director just told Twitter that he was working on a movie, and some people went, "Oh, what's it about? I want to see it. Show me proof." But he doesn't have to tell them or show them, does he? So he doesn't. But the movie might exist. The Beginner's Guide, written by Davey Reedon, encompasses this idea perfectly. Coda, a developer that the game's narrative talks about and has you play through the levels of, argues with Davey that games don't need an audience. And so to prove their point, Coda actively makes their games unplayable. This game has a lot of symbolism regarding consumerism and identity, I think. The game ends with Coda telling us that the writer lied to us about the game's original designs and straight up telling Davey to leave them alone and stop playing. Because like many executives and bigoted people that just have to know what you identify as, Davey would take out and put in game elements to Coda's design, completely missing the point. However you express yourself is perfectly valid, and very many cultures have very many different genders and ways they express different aspects of identity. Gender isn't something I think we should burden ourselves with, though. We need to understand it more and be more inclusive of all identities. And we can do that by simply being, and being okay with other people being, and not performing. After all, it isn't an act, it's part of who you are. For people like Coda and I, we don't much care for an audience with these expressions, and that is perfectly valid as well. I hope that this video may have taken a load off of some of your chests, if you had been caught up in this mindset that gender had to be performed. And I encourage you all to go appreciate some different cultures' ideas of gender. Maybe I'll make another video about it someday. Anyway, you're valid no matter how you identify, and worthwhile. You don't need to figure everything out either. You'll grow and change, and that's okay. I've been Nate. And, as always, you've been awesome. Thanks for watching.